Next Wednesday, Hannah Fry presents The Joy of Data here on BBC4 at 9 o'clock. For tonight, though, she joins Peter Snow and Dick Strawbridge to look to the future with Trainspotting Live.
Welcome back to Trainspotting Live. It's our final show, but we're once again celebrating everything to do with our rail network, from tunnels to bridges, stations to trains. Trainspotters aren't stuck in the past, but just like the rest of us millions of railway enthusiasts, they're excited about the dawn of not just a new golden age, but a titanium-plated, carbon fibre, hydrogen-powered era on our railways.
Quite. And tonight we're going to be looking into the future of train spotting with the newest, fastest and most exciting trains on the network, including some that aren't even officially on the tracks yet. And already you have been helping us with your spots. So we have three to show you, I think, here. First up, a Class 8. This is hauling a 125, spotted at Plymouth Station by Cameron K. We also have a Class 37, spotted at Hillsborough Upper.
Snub-nosed looking thing.
It is not the prettiest of engines, I have to say, but that was spotted by Darrell Hendry. And we also have a video of a Class 66, a bit of an unusual one, this one, because it's hauling a new batch of 700 EMUs, and this was spotted by Adam McMillan.
Wow. And tonight our very own Dick Strawbridge has moved to the nation's capital.
I'm in Clapham Junction, the biggest interchange in the country. Over the course of the next hour, more than 160 trains are going to go through the station. I've got my notebook and I'm going to bag as many as possible.
We're also going to be showing you Tim Dunn at possibly his most excited ever, as he got to ride on the train of the future.
This is magnificent! Look at this! This is a truly magnificent machine! Isn't our Kingdom Brunel?
Now, I'm a mathematician, so I'm going to be continuing my number crunching of the railways and exploring how we fit even more trains onto this crowded network. A commuter's nightmare or a train spotter's dream?
And of course we've got our spotters up and down the country, but most importantly we want you to, at home, to get out once again to join this surge of national spotting. Your challenge tonight is the EMU. Don't worry, we're not bird spotters, we're talking about electrical trains, electrical multiple units. And of course there'll be a new holy grail on the rail for you to find.
Welcome to Trainspotting Live.
Well, we've been delighted that our programme has caught the public's imagination. We've been able to spread our love of train spotting countrywide. Sadly, in the live show, the odd mistake can happen. Thank goodness there are so many eagle-eyed spotters out there keen to keep us on track. We even made front-page news today. During our first show on Monday, I mistakenly said that some wonderful footage of a Class 66 train was just in. In fact, it was a beautiful spot which was shot earlier this year and sent to us a few days before the programme. Sorry for that slip-up.
Now, let's get straight to some spots of the Intercity 125 that have come in overnight. Bob Gwynn, our resident expert from the National Railway Museum in York, is here with us. So let's have a look at these then, Bob. What do you think of these? So we've got the Intercity 125 in first Great Western livery, and this was spotted in Sydney Gardens, Bath at 8 p.m. by Tony Barbieri.
Well, that's a classic location for a photograph, sweeping into Bath Spa Station there. Lovely shot.
Very beautiful. We also have an Intercity 125 in a red livery here, spotted in Perth by Mackenzie Yeaman, who's just 9 years old.
Well, hopefully they've just come over the Highland Line on that and enjoyed those magnificent views of the Sow of Badenoch and things, those great hills up there.
And of course, our holy grail was the elusive mail train. Did we manage to get it? Of course we did. Here it is, a Class 325 mail train at Peterborough, spotted by Paul Bricklebank.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah. All our posts. Well done for tracking down the Holy Grail. And in fact, we were so inspired, we decided to set our very own Tim Dunn the challenge of spotting one live tonight. More from him later.
But tonight, we are coming right up to date and we're trying to spot a series of EMUs. Now, Bob, the last time I checked, this wasn't Springwatch. Yeah. So what do EMUs have to do with the railway?
Well, electrical multiple units are, of course, the way most people get to work in the major centres of the city, major centres of the country, and that's their electrical multiple units. They're crush load trains, lots of people on them going in and out all over the country.
If you want to join our army of live spotters up and down the country and spot some EMUs, then this is what you need to look for. The number of an electrical multiple unit, or EMU, can be found either at the front or back end of the unit, depending on the operator. The number has 6 digits, and the first 3 denote its class. Classes from 300 to 399 run off an AC current, while 400 to 499 signify EMUs of the southern region that need a DC current. 500 and above are for EMU classes that run outside of the southern region. It's crucial to note the time and place of any spot. Pen, notepad and camera are traditional spotters' tools. Those smartphone apps are catching on. Only spot from public land. No trespassing, never go on the tracks, and no flash photography. Stations are privately owned, so if you spot from one, let the staff know you're there. Finally, an anorak isn't obligatory, but make sure you dress for the weather. Particularly apt point tonight. Now, you know the drill by now. Every night we fill up a map with your spots to build a picture of the country with the trains around the country. This is our map from Monday. Here are all our Class 66s, you can see, gathered all over the country, clustered all, a lot of them around here, of course, Didcot where we are, and Dunn and so on. They pull on the whole goods trains. And here we had our first Holy Grail, that wonderful flying banana going up there towards Cambridge. Then we came on the second day, and we had our map of 125, the Intercity 125. There's marvellous speeding trains which go along the line that we're on here, the GWR, and of course they go up the East Coast main line here. Not so many of them up here, of course, because that's mainly the Pendolinos. And here we have our Holy Grail. Yesterday, those wonderful mail trains going roaring up here to Scotland and so on. Very exciting, all that. Right, now let's come on to today. Now, Bob, where are we? We've got our EMUs we're spotting. Not very many coming in yet, a bit early. Just to remind you, here is Dick Strawbridge in Clapham, and here is Tim Dunn in Stafford. Now, why haven't we got many? These not nothing on our line at all here.
Well, no, our line's not electrified yet. It will be electrified in a year or so's time. What we've got here is the network down in the south, and then around Liverpool, Manchester area, and then Glasgow, Edinburgh area, and then 1 or 2 units running around Newcastle and so on, and Leeds. So it'll fill up slowly, yeah.
Good, so come on, folks, let's have a few EMUs, electrical multiple units. Those slightly boring looking things, frankly, but never mind, they're lovely, they're very good, they're lovely, very good. Let's go to Martin in Peterborough. Oh, hang on, here is one. Okay, there is an EMU. Woohoo! Thank you very much. That's coming straight through there with a rather nice colour scheme.
It's the Gatwick Express.
Where do you think that is?
It's the Gatwick Express.
That's the Gatwick Express, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Another one coming up, I think. We may have another one here, Bob. Here she is.
Oh,
oh heavens, that's a
Pendolino.
It's a Pendolino. That's an EMU.
Yeah, electrical multiple unit. Yeah.
And we have a photo as well from someone just come in. Yes, here's David Sterling sending us from Glasgow Central, a Class 380. Well, is that an EMU?
It's got it's got the Solitaire livery. It could be going to Edinburgh
just
from there.
Remind us exactly what an EMU is. What's different about an EMU?
Well, basically, electrical multiple unit. It's got the power on the train. The power's derived from electricity, and it's either derived from the third rail or it's derived from the overhead, 25 kV.
Each carriage is driven along by it or not?
Each carriage is driven along by it. There's only a few trailer cars in an EMU.
And that's the state of the art at the moment. We'll talk about next year in a moment. Now let's go to Martin in Peterborough right now and see what they're up to there. Martin, are you train spotting there?
Yes, Peter, we're in Peterborough and it's been really brilliant this afternoon and into this evening. Very busy indeed.
Good. What sort of trains are you looking for?
We're looking at all sorts today. Just in the last hour, we've had probably, I would say, 10 Class 66 diesel engines running on a variety of freight. But the highlight for me this evening, a train I haven't seen for a very long time, was the Scotsman train that actually pulled in. And in fact, right now, we've got a high-speed train coming in behind us.
Oh, I see it. That's terrific.
Yeah, but the Scotsman train only runs mainly in Scotland. It's the luxury train. You pay £10,000 to be on that for 7 days.
That's very exciting. Just remind me what that is behind you. That behind you there was on the East Coast main line, presumably, coming down from Scotland.
Peter is on the East Coast main line, and that's coming down from the north in towards King's Cross.
What have you seen earlier today?
Well, we've seen a lot of high-speed trains, and earlier today we saw a Class 91 amongst many other 91s.
Here it is, Class 9110, yes? 91-110.
Yes. Now, this one was to commemorate the fallen from the First World War recently. It was reliveried, rebranded, and it works up and down the East Coast main line every single day, apart from when it's
Well,
in
now that's an
servicing.
interesting coincidence, that, because that's our challenge tonight. Tonight's Holy Grail on the rail. We want you to spot this, the magnificent 91-110. We saw one just then, otherwise known as the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Here it is. There's the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Why is it called Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, Paul?
Well, it was named that in 2012, but this is John Dowling's masterpiece. This is a locomotive that is the fastest locomotive Britain has ever had, 161 miles an hour. So
thank you, Philip Mitchell, sending it in for Peterborough. That's great. Send us your Holy Grail on the Wales Boss. That's our Holy Grail tonight. We want to plot it up the East Coast Main Line here. Plus, of course, any EMU updates, either via social media using the hashtag TrainspottingLive, or email us at trainspotting.live@bbc.co.uk. Now, it's all very well for Bob and me to bang on about trains and the railways, but this new age of rail needs new, fresh blood. We sent our very own veteran Dick Strawbridge to Severn Valley to search out the next generation of enthusiasts.
There's a lot to love in a beautifully restored old engine like the Bradley Manor. She was built in 1938. And in their day, engines like this were at the cutting edge of design and technology. It takes specialist skill and knowledge to keep old engines like this alive.
At Severn Valley, the Heritage Skills Training Academy works to pass on that expertise to a new generation.
All right, the workers.
Max and Christopher are apprentice steam locomotive engineers.
Apprentices, how long have you been here? How long have you been working?
2.5 years I've been here.
Yeah, I've been here about nearly 3 years now, yeah.
How long's the apprenticeship?
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years in total.
How did you choose to actually come and work on the trains? Is it a passion?
It's definitely a passion. It's always been since a young little lad. Thomas the Tank Engine, I blame that, really, for starting it. So
The Fat Controller I can relate to, so be very careful, yeah. Are you train spotters?
I wouldn't say it's just an enjoyment, really.
Yeah,
It's
we
just-
find them fascinating. You know, it's more of a fascination, sort of a fascination. I wouldn't want to go too far, but we find them pleasing to watch, pleasing to look at.
Do you get the mickey taken out of you?
I wouldn't say there's some stigma, but then, like, once you start showing your mates and taking them to actually see an engine, then they actually start
Yeah,
to
to
understand.
see what you actually do, they sort of step back and say, whoa, that's quite something to be involved with, really.
Have you got a favourite train?
I'd say whatever easiest to look after, to be honest.
And I think, the first thing you work on as well tends to be the one that sticks in your mind. Like, for us, it's probably 34027 Tor Valley, which is a big Bullard Pacific, which is the first engine we properly did anything on.
Yeah,
whereas other people, it'll be something else. So
You do realise by
I've just said the numbers and everything.
you have actually become a spotter.
I have.
You just threw it. You did it so naturally as well. Well done, Max.
Yes.
Of course, glamorous steam isn't the be-all and end-all of our railway heritage.
How we doing? Aaron Lewis.
At one of the newest sheds of its kind in the country, retired diesel engines are also preserved, and these too attract young enthusiasts.
What's going on?
So we drain the coolant out of Defiance and put it into there.
Whoa, just let's stop a second. You're volunteers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just allowed to come and drain the coolant out.
Oh, yeah.
They trust you with that already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing it for years.
What is it that you sort of enjoy?
The best thing is getting away out from the house from my sisters. that's the best thing.
What's your favourite one of the
This one.
diesels? Yeah, you're
It's my baby,
yeah, it's your baby.
Class 37s for me. They're quite good because they could go anywhere in the country and do any loading what they can.
But beyond getting out of the house, are these kids really motivated by a love of the heritage they're preserving?
At the end of the day, it's best to preserve everything because it's part of history. If you lose that history, you won't know anything about it.
What do you think the future is of the trains that are out on our main lines now? Are you going to be working on those in the future?
There's a possibility of that, but it also comes down to what Network Rail want in the future as well. But I think with the way British people are, I think they want to keep it because it's just one of those things where we are a bit train nutty, sort of that idea of keeping things great and just being a bit patriotic, I suppose.
Keep your tweets coming in and keep your video coming in, and we all that kind of stuff, all these spots, marvellous. We just had a tweet from Craig Brown at Reading Station. He's spotted a class 45853. I think it's class 45823 EMU. He sent that in at 3 minutes past 8. Stephen Hughes says he spotted a rare class 306 EMU at Chapel on the Greater Anglia Sudbury line. That was 7 minutes past 8. And we also had John Adam in Matlock up in Derbyshire, who spotted a 323 EMU at 8 minutes past 8. They're great stuff. Now, we were going to go live to Dick in Clapham right now, but unfortunately we've lost him at the moment. But this is what he just sent us a few moments ago.
We've got 377s. The trains are absolutely everywhere. This is a really busy station, and I've got major problems trying to keep up. This platform alone, there's 15 trains an hour. That's nearly at maximum capacity. If you think about it, we've got 17 platforms here. Clapham Junction, we're talking about the best part of 2,000 trains per day. That's not really all that surprising, because at the station, 24 million passengers a year. Now, that is just absolutely phenomenal. I've got no idea at all how I'm supposed to collect them all.
Thank you, Dick. Now, we have 200 years of rail heritage in this country, but the latest design to roll onto our tracks is getting the pulse of every enthusiast racing. It's the newest high-speed train in the UK, and it launches commercially next year. Our very own irrepressible train spotter Tim Dunn was amongst the first to clap eyes on it.
It's remarkable. A train like this in 2016 can still pull the cameras in. She's coming in now. Britain's newest high-speed train. For someone like myself who finds railways fascinating and believes in railways the future of transport in this country, this is quite remarkable. Here she comes, there's a crowd of people in the cab. This is magnificent. Look at this. This is a truly magnificent machine. Isn't our Kingdom Brunel? Absolutely stunning. Here we go. What on?
Well, we'll find out later just how excited Tim got about riding that wonderful train, right on the cutting edge of modern design. Of course, throughout our rail history, designers and engineers have had to innovate and break new ground constantly. And one man who was perhaps the greatest and most cutting-edge designer of all time was Isambard Kingdom Brunel. 175 years ago, he designed and built the Great Western Railway to link the port of Bristol to London. And it's one of the most iconic railway lines in the country. Here at Didcot, this centre is dedicated to the Great Western Railway. It's right in the middle of it. So who better to talk to about Brunel's visionary engineering than Roger Orchard, the curator here. Roger, what did Brunel really represent?
Basically, he was well ahead of his time in that he tried to design a high-speed railway line from London to Bristol with the onset of actually using his steamships to carry people then onwards over to the US of A. And it was really the first true passenger high-speed railway in the country.
And what was important about it? The geography of it.
Yeah, the geography, he managed to devise the line so it went from London to Bristol basically virtually as flat as possible and with minimal curves.
So he couldn't go straight? Why not?
He could go straight, but obviously there was the the various hills, etc.
The Marlborough Downs or whatever.
That's right, but he managed to get round them in the best way he could, which allowed the locomotives, certainly at that time, to go as fast as they could.
Amazing bloke. And he also built ships and
That's
bridges.
Right, and everything, tunnels, etc., and obviously Clifton Suspension Bridge, etc. So, yeah, and a tremendous engineer.
For you, he must be a tremendous icon.
Yes, and as Jeremy Clarkson said, one of the greatest Britons of all time.
Oh, good for Jeremy Clarkson. Brunel was obsessed with getting everything right, and especially providing a smooth and fast service. And all of that engineering was to that end. To test how good his and everyone else's railways were, he travelled the country with his notebook, trying to draw perfect circles as he travelled. The better the circle, the smoother the ride. And his notebooks still show how well he was doing. Just look at this. You see the circles he was drawing on his broad gauge railways. And he had one particular vision, writing in his books, "The time is not far off when we shall be able to take our coffee and write while going noiselessly and smoothly at 45 miles an hour." All of those engineering innovations over a cup of coffee, good for Brunel. But he also had one other bright idea to get his high-speed caffeine fix, and Hannah is just down there to talk us through what it was.
Well, I'm actually standing on it, Peter, although I should say that this is a closed museum and not an open track. But this right here is exactly what you will see up and down the country. This track here is what is called a standard gauge, rails that are 4 foot, 8.5 inches apart. But this here, this is what Brunel wanted us to have, a 7 foot and a 1/4 inch gauge. Don't forget that 1/4 inch. Now, Brunel, who was a very brilliant engineer, of course, had a logic behind this. And one of the reasons was that you can have a more favourable centre of mass with a broader gauge. Can I give you that for a second? This loco, for example, this one that I have here, imagine that this is a standard modern width. And the centre of mass on this is right here. That is the average position of the mass in the loco, and it's where the gravity acts from. And the force of gravity is going to act directly downwards. But now imagine that there's a big gust of wind. Now, if this vertical line from the centre of gravity falls outside of this base, the loco is going to topple over. So this will be fine right there, but as soon as it goes past that point, this is going to fall over. Now, compare that, though, to what we have here. This is the broad gauge. Now, because it's much wider, you can have a boiler that sits a lot lower, but it's also going to have a lot lower centre of mass. And that means that it takes an awful lot more for this line to go outside the base of the train. And at small angles, this loco is an awful lot more stable. Now, Brunel, he was absolutely right about this. Broader bases and lower centres of gravity are a lot more stable. If you just think about what a rugby player does when they're about to be tackled, they sort of spread their legs wide and go low, just to lower their centre of gravity. So this really was a great idea, but unfortunately, Brunel was just a little bit too late with it. There was too much momentum already behind the standard gauge, and a few things like economics got in the way. But finally, eventually, the stability that Brunel was after came about in some other ways. But what about that cup of coffee on a modern train that Brunel was after? Now, there is no way, if you think about it, that you would be able to drink anything if you were travelling at 125 miles an hour in a car. So how come you are able to on a train, even though it's going around corners? Well, the secret is that trains can tilt into a curve. So here is a train that is bolt upright, and it's going around a curve in this direction here. You have gravity pulling it downwards, and you also have a centripetal force that's pushing it outwards to the side. That's why when you're in a car going around a corner, you slide outwards towards the side. Now, the net effect of these two forces is one that acts diagonally downwards like this. Now, what a tilting train does is align that carriage to the direction of that net force. And that means that it feels like that force it feels like it's pushing you and your coffee into the floor. Now, this is an example of what's happening in a tilted carriage. So you've still got gravity going downwards, you've still got your centripetal forces, you've still got your diagonal net force, but this time the carriage is aligned with that force. There we go. That's a slightly extreme example there. We don't really get carriages that tilt quite that much. But weirdly, if you get this absolutely perfectly right, if you tilt your carriage exactly in that direction, like they did in the original tilting trains, the APTs, it actually makes people feel a little bit sick, because you see yourself going around a corner, actually you expect to be pushed to the side a little bit, and when you're not, your body ends up freaking out. So the new tilting trains, the Pendolinos, those instead only tilt about 80% towards the direction of the total force to give you the most comfortable ride that won't spill your coffee.
Fascinating stuff. Now, Roger, that difference in Brunel's gauge actually it explains this shed we're in now, the transfer shed, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. One of the awkward parts about the Brunel with the two different gauges, at certain points in the country you had to transfer goods from a standard gauge freight train into a broad gauge freight train, or vice versa. And so they built transfer sheds, which we have here at Didcot, to show that exact process going on.
Right, so here we have a standard gauge train waiting to receive goods or passengers, whatever, and here is the broad gauge. Train. Wonderful. And what actually happened?
Basically, there would be lots of people here, certainly when they were dealing with goods or freight trains, and there would be lots of people carrying all the parcels, etc., from one train to the other, and the time it took just become unbearable, really.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Bob, is it sad that we lost the broad gauge?
Well, I think it was inevitable because by the time the broad gauge came in, there was already lots and lots of standard gauge lines, what Brunel called coal gauge and dismissively. And inevitably, it couldn't last because of that break of gauge, which meant that you had to move goods from one place to another.
But if he had managed, I mean, if he had survived the broad gauge beyond the 1890s or whatever, would we be happier and more comfortable and more calm in the broad gauge trains?
I think so. It would allow the trains today to actually travel that much faster, or so we believe so. And I think, you know, looking forward, you know, our trains would have been going a lot faster, possibly without the need for, you know, brand new railway lines.
I think Brunel was talking about going at 45 miles an hour. Wouldn't that be exciting? Yeah. Now, Bob, looking at what Brunel would make of today's railways, what do you think he'd have said? And what about the future?
Well, he'd have been all for all those developments, you know, High Speed 2 and maglev and all those kind of developments that are future-facing. And knowing Brunel, he'd also have some odd side views as well to throw into the mix, because he did that a lot with his career.
Extraordinary man Brunel must have been. I mean, you owe everything to him here at this wonderful railway
without
centre.
him, we wouldn't be here.
Tremendous. So, well. Anyway, Brunel's railways were part of a revolution in communication. Across the country, railways were allowing us to send letters and parcels much faster than ever before, with the original mail train first running in 1830 on the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. Yesterday, we set you, our spotters, the task of tracking down its modern ancestors, and you did. Well, today it's Tim Dunn's turn. Tim, how are you doing?
Well, I'm here in not-so-sunny Stafford tonight on the platforms, and I was here to see one of the unusual trains on the British network, the Class 325 EMU, the mail train. Now, that hasn't actually come through according to plan, and just before that, we've even seen two Class 90s come through as well. Two of these wonderful locomotives built by Brunel at Crewe a few years ago, and there are 50 on the network, and two came chuntering through just earlier on today. While we're waiting for it. However, we have also had, just earlier than that, the mail train. The mail train came through a little bit earlier than expected, as all the best things do. That came on board and just came whizzing past about 10 minutes ago, ahead of schedule, straight past us and the people here on the platform tonight. Now you'll see it whizzing through. This is the platforms here. This is here at the platforms here at Stafford. This station has been completely rebuilt. You probably see behind me, actually, the architectural station isn't quite as is rest of the line. This is a very modern station under here, under the wires. The entire route was rebuilt part of the BR modernisation plan of the 1950s. And in 1962, this reopened in a kind of modernist, brutalist style. And we've spent some time this afternoon having a look around that station and looking at some of those details around the whole place. Now, it's a really quite unusual place, built of concrete, and not necessarily what everyone enjoys, but it's my kind of architecture, and I've rather enjoyed my time here this evening. Now, a lot of famous trains on this route, other than that mail train. We've had the Royal Scot and the Coronation Scot in years past, and of course the famous tilting APT of British Rail that we all know and love as enthusiasts. But of course, 80 years ago, there was, in 1936, this route was made famous by W.H. Auden's poem about the night mail. And of course, at that time, there was a very different place to it is now. And that mail train we've seen come past this evening was really quite different to the original night mail we've seen, was previously there in 1936. Back then, the railway was something of a social network, perhaps the world's first social network, connecting people and places and families with mail and messages together. Well, this mail train has still gone through tonight, as you've seen, goes past, and it's all red and yellow glory, that full of second-class mail on its way down from Scotland down to London, full of different things. But anyway, if you also see any more trains tonight, whether you see that mail train go past, you know, about 15 minutes early, please do email in or go to the website or Twitter and contribute tonight on the last night of Trainspotting Live.
Well, now we've got 3 tweets here that just come in from people. Alex Lewis on Twitter at 2019, at 8:19, about, 10 minutes ago. He's seen a 465180 at Kidbrooke. That's at EMU. DNC on Twitter at Dan C. I do apologise, Dan. Dan C on Twitter at 8:20. Saw a Class 350 at Western Milton, and also a Class 390 EMU has been seen by Oliver Griggs at Birmingham New Street. That was at 8:15. Now, it isn't just the railways themselves that are affected by technological advances. New technologies transforming the world of the enthusiast. Long gone, for example, are the days of matchsticks and glue. Whoop! That That's the Oxford line spinning past, probably giving us a hoot because we know that he knows we're live in this studio here in the transfer shed. Anyway, what we're going to look at now is Will Jarman, the model maker.
All aboard! My name's Will Jarman. I am a railway modeller and also an artist and designer too, so I'm a bit of a creative anorak, I suppose. What you see, it's a model of Victoria Bridge, which was once the biggest single-span bridge in the world. That was back in the Victorian era. About 200 yards that way, you'll find a station called Arley. And you can see here that I've used a 3D printing machine to start that process. The printer is printing layer by layer the walls of the station building. It's actually the cake shop, so it does it a bit like you'd see a builder making the foundations of a house. It will start off with the bottom foundations here, and piece by piece it prints like layers of a cake, the cake shop. I've measured out the floor plan being about 5 metres by 4. I've not measured the roof because I haven't got a step ladder. You can actually estimate by counting bricks, measuring the proportions of the windows, and it works out just about right. In a way, it's a bit like standing on a platform taking down numbers, but I've gone along and taken down the measurements of a building instead. It's very much like being a sculptor, but without any rock, and you're on a computer screen, but probably took about 2 hours to get that created, and then it's straight into the machine. Every good model should include a model of the person that made it. So I am actually present in the scene. If you look in amongst the trees here, you can see a chap with a slightly odd-looking jacket and a camera, and that's me. People respond to it as much as a painting as they do a model, which, in a slightly pretentious way, quite pleases me.
Wonderful to see a model enthusiast like that. Well done, Will. Now, we've got some treats coming in. Christian Davis has spotted his favourite Class 455 EMU, electrical multiple unit, at Clapham Junction. He was sent there at 11 minutes past 8. Ben G's seen a 450 sitting at Eastleigh while 444 passes through. He's seen 2 things at 8:17 at the same moment. Aidan on Twitter sent us a Class 319, the news of a Class 319s in Salford, heading towards Manchester. And now I think, Bob, we're going to see a couple of pictures we've been sent. A Class 322 at Leeds, which was sent by Tony Brooks. There it is. Tony Brooks, thank you very much for that. What are we looking at there now? Come on, give us a quick description of what we're looking at.
Well, we're looking at 322. It's one of those locos, I think, trains that was built by Hunslet's in Leeds. So I think it's very appropriate it's there. And where's it off to? Well, that kind of train, it might be going down the Aire Valley, it might be going across to Ilkley. It's on that side of the station, I think. OK, well, Wesley Holt sent us one too. He sent us one, he's seen at Aintree, here it is. Yeah. And it was today at 5:45 p.m. And that's another, what's that? That's Class 508, is it? Yeah, well, that's the third rail. It's where the third rail starts on Liverpool. It starts in Liverpool Southport. By third rail, you mean the rail beside the 2 big rails? That's right, third rail starts in 1904 in Liverpool Southport. And it starts there, yeah, that kind of attraction. What a great site, that's terrific. Well, we're building up here, of course. We've got your spots coming in, and a lot of them on the Brighton line here. That's interesting. Of course, the Brighton line is absolutely vital EMU line, isn't it? And here one down to Kent. Kent Coast, yeah. And here they are going up the East Coast, and quite a lot from the north too coming in. Yeah, but only as far as, this is not electrified Manchester Leeds. I see. And but as far as Manchester Liverpool, yes. None, of course, on our line. None on our line, and out as far as into Dorset as well. And great stuff. Come on, down to the south of England. Where are you? Let's have all those pictures and all that stuff of these wonderful EMUs. Now, we're going to Cliff in Edinburgh to see what's happening up in Edinburgh. Cliff, are you there?
I'm here, yes. How are you doing?
What's happening in Edinburgh?
Tonight we saw quite a few trains arrive. We saw a 91 coming from King's Cross. We've watched the service from Penzance, probably one of the longest journeys that you can have on the network today, and it's going from Penzance to Glasgow Central in just under 12 hours.
That's terrific.
Service, that one.
That's terrific. What else do you see up in Scotland? You've got EMUs all over the place, yes?
Yes, they're starting to come in now. We've got EMUs that go from Mulgai. There's one we've got captured earlier on today, came in from Mulgai, 334.
Beautiful train. Nice livery. What's that now? That's ScotRail?
ScotRail ScotRail Saltire livery.
Beautiful.
Very, very nice. Vinyl, done by vinyl, which is very good. Done by Platt and Kilmarnock, which is very effective at doing it.
One has to say, though, you know, Cliff, I mean, the steam trains were rather more beautiful than all this stuff, weren't they?
Oh, yes. I mean, when years gone by, you would have the Coronation arriving up the East Coast Main Line on the R service, just pre-war. Then you'd have, obviously, in the 1950s, Elizabethan service, which, if you go to YouTube, you can find British Transport film of that. A very interesting piece. Takes you back in the day and lets you see Edinburgh Waverley as it was many years ago.
OK, Cliff, I'll let you go back to your notebook. Now, train spotting is a quintessentially British passion, or is it? Our American cousins seem to take it to the next level. Across the pond, they use yet another term for train spotters, foamers. This infamous clip you're going to see now went viral. It's a long way removed from our more dignified enthusiasm on these shores.
Oh, take a look at that. Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn! Oh my God! Oh, she's beautiful! She is beautiful, yeah! All right! Oh my, oh, oh, oh! Oh no, it's a BL2 too! Oh, the SNC 52! Oh my God!
Honestly, Bob, that was incredible, wasn't it? I mean, one of the lovely trains they went. I'm going to go straight to Dick because Dick, you're an enthusiastic fella. What do you think of that stuff? I hope you're more dignified there, but of course, no less passionate than that, are you, Dick?
I love it, Peter. Yeah, I appreciate it when we see something new. Slight technical problems here in Clapham, but we're having a ball. Actually, train spotting is quite difficult here, but I'm getting the hang of it. Luckily, earlier on today, I got some really good guidance. 874. 874. Now, 874 is a 455?
It is indeed, yes.
Is it all 455?
Yep.
Okay. What excites you about the EMUs? Come on,
I
Mark.
really like the different colours you get them in, for all the different operators. Even just at Clapham Junction, we've got red ones, we've got blue ones, we've got green ones, we've got white ones, all different colours.
I've got to tell you, I get a little bit confused, and this is going to be a theme going through today, because the size of that was a big one. That was two together?
That was two together, 2 units and multiple.
Right. Do you normally get them one at a time? How do you collect those numbers?
You just have to be really careful, just seeing as they come through. Get in front and tail and sometimes middle if you've got 3 of them.
But are you I don't see a notebook out here at all. You're not a writing down man?
I've got a camcorder. It means I can watch them back, slow it down, do frame by frame, and just see the tiny little number you might miss when you're doing it in person.
Okay, so I'll keep my eyes out here, because this place is manic. What's that one going out that way?
That one is a 450. That's going towards London Waterloo.
Right, so we've got 450 over there, and I missed the number of it, so I didn't see it. So we've got a 450 over that direction.
020.
Oh, I've got 020, that's good. I've got 020 now. 020, and right, 020 I've got the number. Okay, I missed one.
Oh, you got another one, another 455.
Yeah, but I missed it. This is a bit. When you actually collect them, what do you do with the numbers? Because it strikes me that it's cheating to do that.
You could say cheating a bit. What I do is I film them.
I missed another one.
You got another 377 over there. And yeah, I film them and then I edit the videos, I take the numbers off of them, and then I've got a little website that I've written myself where I keep a log of every one I've seen, a little link to the video that I made as well.
So, would it count as me seeing it if I watched your video?
Oh, that depends what rules you're playing by.
Oh, yes.
You have seen it, you just haven't seen it in the flesh.
Okay, I just think I have to practice more.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
I've got with me here this very proud EMU spotter. Okay, Mark, what's the newest thing you've ever seen?
The newest thing I've ever seen is the Class 700. It's a brand new train for Thameslink.
Okay, when you get to be my age, what are you going to sort of remember as being the most important sort of train of your youth?
I think it probably will be something like this 700. It's one of the most advanced trains we've ever had.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be something to see how the technology changes, see if other trains pick up on that.
Okay. Now, when it comes to sort of capturing these trains, at the moment, what about the old trains? Are you interested in them as much? Because they're out there, but why would you sort of, your favourite be a new one? Come on.
I quite like the new ones because they're sleek, they're modern, they're comfortable, they're the best things we've ever had. I mean, it's nice to have heritage, but it's also good to see where the future's going to be.
Okay, I must admit, I'm beginning to feel the pressure a little bit here because, hey, I haven't got any 700s in my books.
for heaven's sake, Dick, enough of this modern stuff. Everyone doesn't want to look modern all the time. Some people want to look back. Some people continue to look back and preserve the past, including my next guest, Hugh Fisher. Now, Hugh, you've been collecting lots of tickets. How many have you got, old tickets?
Well, I don't know, Peter, but it must be about 3,500 or so.
Good gracious me. What's your favourite one? Show us.
Well, this one here from Mardy, a branch line in South Wales. It closed in 1964. On the right, you'll see the Great Western Railway example.
These are blow-ups of the tickets, aren't they?
They are
much
very much enlargements. Yes, these are the original sizes
there, exactly.
down here.
You've got to show us by blowing them up, right.
This Mardy platform ticket was issued a few weeks before the line closed and was withdrawn, the stock was withdrawn almost immediately afterwards. So this is number 000, the first of the series, and probably the only one in existence. So that's my favourite.
OK, now what else have you got? Give
Well,
us
I've
an
got
idea.
oldest ticket. This one here is issued in 1869. From Crouch End on the Northern Heights line. That closed in 1954. And this is interesting because it's issued for a parliamentary journey at the minimum fare of 1 penny a mile, 1 old penny, of course, a mile, as stipulated by the Railway Regulation Act of 1844.
Right, and all these little guys, of course, they're the real size tickets.
They are
You can't
indeed.
really read those, I appreciate that. But why are they all pretty colours? Every single ticket, it looks to me, has its place of origin and then the destination on that ticket.
The originating
details,
point and
incredible.
the destination. The colour generally indicated the class to distinguish first, second, as it was then, and third class. And there are various overprints to indicate validity for children, returns, all sorts of things like that.
Terrific. What have we got over here?
And here we've got an example of a much later ticket, one of a series printed in 1970, especially for Trainspotting.
And again, the blow up this
and
these
a very
small
much
ones.
enlarged version. Here's the original. This is this actual one.
Right.
And there were a series of 7 of these produced, each displaying a class of locomotive that you could see at Reading Station.
Right.
And on the back of the ticket, as enlarged here, were technical details about the locomotive concerned.
So you had to pay for each locomotive you took a picture of, or you put on your
You pay to go on the platform. 2 shillings as it was then, changed to 10p after decimalisation, which was quite a bit more than the regular rate for a platform ticket of 3 pence at the time.
Now, how long are you going to go on doing this? Until you're sort of 70, 80, 90?
Well, I'm past 70, Peter, I
Good
have to say.
Never guessed it. But anyway, you're going to go on doing this forever?
Well, I guess so, until I can't do it any longer.
Wonderful. Are they valuable?
Oh, yes, some have a value. I mean, I wouldn't part with Mardy.
Mardy looks absolutely wonderful. Anyway,
because
thank you
it's
very much
probably
indeed, Hugh.
unique.
Wonderful. Now, one exclusive ticket that any rail enthusiast would kill to get their hands on was the one that allowed Tim to ride the Super Express train. We rejoin him as he tries to contain himself for the short journey between Reading and London.
3 rows in on the left-hand side. 3 rows in left-hand. Thank you very much. Freebie. Right, let's look in the goodie bag. Okay, what have we got? Oh, swag. Oh, colouring book. That's what I really want. There we go. We've got a Western in there, a Class 52. Fabulous. And of course, the classic HST. What else have we got? Top trumps. Niche, but lovely. And sod film openings. This is the kind of blockbuster I want to come to. We're moving. Completely smoothly, without a sound. It's completely silent. Almost completely silent. We're accelerating, and that's the real benefit of the IEP, the speed at which it accelerates. It gets to 125 miles an hour, a whole minute faster than 125 ever could. And that's fantastic, because that means journey times are cut, and it also means you could fit many more trains onto the same piece of line.
The Class 800 is made in Japan, but will be assembled in County Durham, Britain's first rail manufacturing facility for 150 years. Within 2 years, 59 train sets will travel the Great Western and Virgin's East Coast main lines.
Gotta have a selfie.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now approaching London Paddington. The first ever time the new Class 800 has been into the station. I hope you all enjoyed this first ever trip on the new GWR Intercity Express train.
Now just arrived at London Paddington on Britain's newest express train. That's London Paddington, where I first came to look at trains with my dad, to come and look at 125s. And here we are, arriving on the train that's replacing them. Brilliant. And the day just gets better. They've even let me into the cab. I never expected this. This is truly computerised. This is so far beyond anything I've seen in a locomotive or a driving car anytime recently. How complex is it to drive?
It's not complex at all. Once you get used to the system, and you have to interact with that screen on the right-hand side, that's called the TMS, and that's the driver-machine interface, basically. You have to log into that before you drive it, and that monitors everything on the train that's going on. If you get a fault, it comes up and tells you, and how to rectify it.
That was magnificent fun, wasn't it?
Now, a Holy Grail challenge to tonight is absolutely red hot. We haven't yet anybody, 15 minutes to go, and nobody yet has told us they've seen the 91 110 speeding up that East Coast main line. So there's the challenge for you. Now, Tim, you've taken a ride on the Super Express, and today you bagged that rare beast, the mail train. Surely nothing left for you to spot, is there?
I think you probably have just about reached peak Tim at this point of the series. But actually, this evening has been rather lovely because earlier on this afternoon, we managed to see something that summed up both the past 2 evenings here on Trainspotting Live. We actually managed to catch 46115 Scots Guardsman, which is a steam locomotive, being hauled down south from Carnforth to Southall by 37516, a Class 37. So those two things in the past 2 nights, a steam locomotive and a Class 37, both together. Rather lovely on our last evening here tonight, by pure coincidence coming down this evening. And I really do hope that actually some of the enthusiasm that we've been able to show and some of the people we've been able to depict over the course of the past few evenings has actually shown some of the people who are not enthusiasts that actually there's real delight and real joy and real fun to be had in train spotting and being a rail enthusiast, because it's a truly lovely hobby with some truly lovely people, and we've had an awful lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Tim. Your joy and enthusiasm has certainly been a delight to behold. Organising the train timetables and signals so that the trains we've been enjoying run on time is something I can't even begin to get my head around. So I asked Hannah to do it instead. Hannah.
But there are some crucial questions that need answering to keep all of these high-speed, high-tech trains running on time, and the calculations at play in future-proofing the rail network are incredibly complicated. But to understand it, you first need to get to grips with the principles of railway signalling, and that's the reason why I am down here with some traditional style signals at Didcot Parkway. Now here, you can just see them in the background there. The red is in your direction, the black ones are for trains going in the opposite direction. When they're hanging at an angle like that, that means that it's safe to go. The ones that are horizontal means don't go. And you also have the points just down there on the track, making sure that you don't have two trains merging onto a single track there. But this is all controlled from the signal box up here. And today, our signaller is Andrew, and he is going to just explain to me how this works. Hello, Andrew. Thank you very much for having us. So tell me, what do all the different coloured levers do?
So the red ones control signals, the black ones control points, and the blue ones lock things in place like points.
And so how do you change a signal then? You just pull the lever?
Yeah, so if you want to have a go, if you pull the catch on number 4
okay, all right.
and push it towards the back.
Oh gosh, it's actually quite a lot heavier than I was expecting then.
Yeah.
Well, you'd get some good guns if you're working with a signaller, that's for sure. How about changing the points? How do you do that?
Okay, so with points you have to unlock them first. So I have to push the lock back, but it's quite stiff.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you know when to change what? If you didn't have, you know, a sort of radio or phone in here, how would you know when to change what?
The signalman would follow the timetable he's given.
Okay. And I guess this is kind of doable on a timetable if there's only a few trains running in every day.
Right, yeah.
But London Bridge at 9 o'clock in the morning is going to be a lot,
it'd be quite stressful.
A lot trickier.
Yeah.
And as our railways get a lot more crowded, signalling and timetables get an awful lot more complicated. And to find out more about it, I went up to Manchester. Network Rail is constantly trying to squeeze out every last bit of capacity on their network, and that involves scrutinising everything from how quickly passengers get on and off the trains to what the minimum distance can be between the trains when they're on the network. And the end result is called the working timetable that outlines the positions of every train on the track. With around 22,500 train journeys every day, Network Rail employs an army of 300 people to manage this working timetable. How does timetabling actually work?
Essentially, if you actually put all the timetable together, it's quite a hefty book and it's lots and lots of numbers. We use the graphs to sort of visually represent exactly what they're looking at.
Complex graphs like this one covering train movements around Huddersfield are all based on a simple concept of time and distance. If you wanted to have a particular train and you wanted to plot it on this graph, it starts off at a particular station at a certain distance and at a certain time and travels through your network. Let's say it just travels at a constant speed. In an ideal world, they all match this pattern, travelling nice and fast, just 4 minutes apart. That's a timetabler's dream right there. Lovely, nice and easy, all the trains are the same. The problem is you also want slower local trains, and on this graph that means a shallower line that crosses those of the faster trains. What that effectively means is that you've got two trains at exactly the same point on the rail network at exactly the same time. Pretty much the worst thing. You really want to avoid that. When you look at them at first, they look like they're a massive mess, no offence.
Yeah, they do.
So where these lines cross, you're talking about two trains being in exactly the same place at exactly the same time.
In theory, but that's why we plan around that to make sure that that doesn't happen. These crosses here actually happen on a safe two-track section.
So you've got a short bit of track where you can fit two trains?
Yes. Yep.
So you are allowed to have crossings on this one? Oh, hang on, what about that one?
So in an opposite direction.
Oh, yeah. I'm just checking that you've done your maths correctly. So if you wanted to fit another train in here somewhere, how do you do it?
With great difficulty.
There's a little bit of space there, maybe? Just put it through there.
You could. So you could have that as a gap. However, you've got a slower train there anyway, so do you want two doing exactly the same thing a couple of minutes apart?
No, not really. OK, so with these ones then, could you just make that a bit faster?
You could, but then it's still got to pass him somehow, and it's got to pass in this stretch here. So unless that one speeds up as well as that one,
yeah,
you're not going to get it past.
How far in advance are you working with these sort of timetables?
So in this detail, we're only a few years, but we do go out to sort of 30 years in advance to try and plan our capacity. So
the 2040s then?
Yes, we're looking at 2043 as in our route studies at the moment.
Wow, that's absolutely extraordinary to me. Because, I mean, I guess you can't fix down what the railway is going to look like in 2043 at this point.
No, so we have to take our current knowledge and we then have to work out growth and try and plan our best for the next 30 years.
It's just phenomenally complicated. Phenomenally complicated.
Can be.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Smashing glimpse of the future. And of course, with trains like Tim's Super Express coming on the network alongside all of our existing stock, it's only going to get even more complicated, as Hannah was saying. Good luck, Network Rail. Now, let's see if anyone, I don't think they have yet, spotted our holy grail on the rail, the 91-110, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. I don't think we have they, Bob?
No, I don't.
No sign of it being pinned.
It should be up here somewhere, yes.
Now, one thing that really worries me is, I mean, the speed of these things. We talk about the new express train coming in, all the excitement of this, that and the other, but they're not going to go any faster than the 125s. They can't.
Well, they can't. They can't go any faster until we either build a new line or deal with our signalling system that will enable to get more trains on the network.
How can you deal with the signal system?
Well, you can go away from having geographically placed mechanical signals and electric signals and put them in the cab, so the train is controlled from inside the cab.
OK, Hannah, you've got some tweets, I think, haven't you?
They
didn't use about the 91-110 yet.
I also have, actually, there are some unconfirmed reports that the 91-110 has just gone past Peterborough. It is unconfirmed, though. We don't have a photo, unfortunately. So
fantastic. Well, we've still got a few minutes left.
We have got Twitter. Jack Bruce has spotted a Class 320 from Glasgow. That tweet was sent at 2032. We also have Jack Andrews, Class 390 at Wick. That tweet was sent at 2033. And also a Class 333 spotted at Leeds by Phil Jackson at 2030. Lots of spots.
OK, great stuff. It's time to wrap up our final spots, and I think we should all choose a favourite spot from the past three shows. Bob, what's yours?
Well, I go for the little Network Rail measuring train, the sort of baby brother of the flying banana that we talked about a lot. And there it is, I think close to where where I live, it's in Knaresborough, and it's just doing its job, making sure that line is safe.
That
Lovely.
yellow colour. Hannah?
Well, I really like the King Edward that we had on Monday. But I also, probably my favourite spot that's come in is this one here from Twitter, which is of the flying banana just peeking its nose around the corner.
Yes, that's right.
Hiding around, like that a lot.
Lovely. Well, mine is very simple. It has to be steam for me, and it's Tim's wonderful Black 5 loco up in Fort William. Just look and listen to this wonderful locomotive approaching us. Listen to that. Ah, look at the power of the wheels and the connecting rods and the pistons inside. They're going boing, boing, boing. It's all fantastic. Now, Dick, we've all done our favourite spots down here, but what about you, Dick? What was your best spot?
We're still actually train spotting. And, yeah, Nick joined me from Doncaster. Now, Nick, we've had a ball. We've been to Doncaster, Swindon, Clapham Junction. That's given us a real cross-section, hasn't it?
It has. We've seen lots of 66s, lots of 91s.
Oh, well, never mind lots of 66s. What was the main one?
66779, Evening Star.
Yeah, that was my most special 66. It was great. I actually think that of all the 66, because I've seen them in Swindon, I've also seen them here. That was one of the things I think I like freight. I don't know if it's normal, but I like freight. Having said that, what about the Darth Vaders?
I think they're a bit scary, but you saw quite a few of those, the 180s at Doncaster.
Yeah. Well,
and you saw the 125s that you thought were Darth Vaders as well.
They're all in, yeah, no, I got those mixed up. They're all in my book. But when it came to Swindon, we got masses of 43s, you know? Just the sheer quantity. But the special 43 that we had, that was Sir Kenneth Grange. Have you seen it?
Not with that name, I haven't, but I have seen them all.
You've seen them all?
Yes.
Okay.
I got them all.
Seen it in the livery?
Not in that livery, no, but I saw them all by 1980.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, you've seen them all. I must have something on my book you haven't got. What about the new Gatwick ones right here?
I've only seen 3 of those.
So, I've seen things that he hasn't seen, yeah? And my book's getting fatter. I'm going to tell you, I've had a ball, thanks to the station staff, thanks to everyone who's been looking after us, most of all, thanks to the army of spotters who've been looking after me. Nick as well.
Thank you.
Well, I do hope you've enjoyed the programme as much as we have. We've tried to bring alive for you the great sweep of our railway history from when Britain invented the locomotive through 2 centuries of change to what the railways are like today. And also we've taken a glimpse into the challenges of the future.
And we've also celebrated the uniquely British and eccentric passion of our train enthusiasts across the country, as well as the privilege of seeing some of the best locos on the network and here at Didcot today.
But before we go, we just have time to thank everyone that's helped us here at Didcot Railway Station. Roger and his team have been so wonderfully kind.
Thank you to Bob and the National Railway Museum in York and all those people that have helped us out with our filming.
We should also thank all of the rail enthusiasts, the gracers, the bashers, the foamers in America, and the plain old train spotter who Visio called us. They've sent us their photos and footage and been out there spotting with us.
And of course, thank you to you at home for joining in and really making us a nation of spotters.
Remember to keep going. Let's create a new army of enthusiasts to usher in a new golden age of train spotting.
And we're going to leave you with some of the very best footage that you have sent us over the past few weeks and the last few epic days. Goodbye.
Handbrake off. Goodbye. That's great.
You, night and day. You are the one, only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are. I think of you night and day, day and
I love it to bits, and there we go.
why is it so?
Well spotted, Dick.
I can see steam and smoke just on the horizon. A truly magnificent sight.
Wherever I go, in the roaring traffic's boom, in the silence.
How many stations have you pictured?
2,500.
Extraordinary.
Oh, that's satisfying.
Night and day, night and day.
Have you recorded anything, Kip?
Yeah.
All the Class 66s. You sent us all these spots. Brilliant.
There's an oh, such a hungry yearning burning inside of me.
There's something nice about that. Oh, yes.
And its torment won't be through.
And then divided by 33,000 because imperial units are weird.
Night